Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Difficult Terrain. My name is Putty, and this is Marshall. Marshall, how you doing?
I am doing pretty good. I have been I had this the most gentle illness that I got when I went to my family for Thanksgiving. I got something called RSV, which is I forget what that stands for, but it's something that is really bad for babies and old people. And if you're, our age, it's very mild. So for the most part, I've had no symptoms except this slight, not even sore throat, like dry
A
throat, I would
tickle.
call it. A tickle. And it's been
Yeah,
enough to be annoying and noticeable, if you know what I mean. And so today I woke up and it's kind of, I think, faded. So that's good. So I'm feeling good because of that. And then,
that's good.
um, yeah, other than that, life's great. What is there to worry about? But um, before we went live, we were talking about the
Sports.
regional sports team.
Yeah.
Well, and sports betting, but regional sports teams. And something I was going to say before we went live, so I'll say it now is so yeah, I understand that, right? Often a city, if it has two teams, they're going to be rivals.
Yeah.
Maybe more rivals than they're going to be with any other team, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, right? The thing that is interesting to me about that is I always thought, let's say I've lived near Chicago most of my life. Let's say I'm a Cubs fan because most of the people I know are Cubs fans. But let's say I'm a Cubs fan, and one day I'm watching and the White Sox are playing the Red Sox. And the Red Sox are from Boston to make it more confusing. If 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 I'm watching that, isn't there? Don't you want to be able to still root from a team from your city? Or in that case, do you think you still root against that team? You say, I want Boston to kick Chicago's ass. What's the mindset of
In
someone
my
in that case?
experience, it's usually the latter. It's usually that, if your rivals are playing someone who you don't care that much about, you want your rivals to lose. But
Wow.
there are qualifications to that. So one is in European sports, unlike most American sports, we have relegation and promotion. So teams that are at the bottom of the league don't stay in the league. You don't get you go down to a lower league at the end of the season if you do badly enough.
My
Uh,
favorite part about soccer in the UK or football in the UK. My favorite part is that
is
system.
that cool?
Once I understood how that worked, that's so much cooler than the way American sports work. In American sports, you can never doesn't matter how bad your team is
Yes.
doing. You will never fail. You will never you will
And
fail.
in fact, because of the way the draft system works, in some ways, if you're out of contention, you're almost incentivized to just give up the rest of your games.
Yes, because you can do better in the draft, and a lot of it just comes down to right. It's a lot of it's player trading and stuff like that, which obviously happens in other places. But
Yeah.
there's this sense in which it doesn't really matter how awful the I don't know, the Tigers are doing. They're still going to be around 50 years from now, as long as someone owns them, right? And as long
And
as the money
yeah,
is still there.
another thing is with the Premier League incentives is that every place on the table is such a massive jump in prize money that every game matters. And I think that's part of the reason why it's one of the more, competitive and one of the more marketable products in the world, because every game does matter. And that's why the quality is so high now. Every Premier League team is so good these days.
Yeah, I think that is obviously there are still there's always going to be little bits weirdness in professional sports. Like the way in which players are traded has always been to me a little bit strange.
I agree. You're paying millions of pounds for a sports player is always a bit wow, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I also think it's right. I'm not a huge. I don't really follow sports that much, but I imagine that if I had a favorite team and they decided to trade a player that has been with that team for years randomly one day in the middle of a season, I'd be pissed because it's I don't know. Isn't there a sense that sure, a team is at the end of the day just a stadium and its logo and stuff, but surely it's also the people in the team. And when you're getting rid of some of those people, it's got to feel like your team is changing in ways that you're like, what? No, I don't like this, And obviously sometimes you might get a really good player, but I don't know. I always thought that's got to suck. That's got to feel weird.
In football, it's trading isn't really a thing in football. It's
Oh, really? Okay.
It's buying, and you have some trades, but the vast majority of football transfers are purchases and sales. You're paying money to get someone, or you're selling them for an amount of money.
Okay.
So it's usually the case that, like, if they're in if they're in the starting 11, if they're one of the stars of the team, nobody ever is gotten rid of, right? It's usually somebody's made you an offer you can't refuse. Like, they've made you 150 million. It's like, okay, we want to keep this guy, but we could buy 3 more players for 150 million. Maybe they're not as good as him, but maybe they'll get as good as him, things like that. So, there are times where fans are like, I'm really upset that he's leaving, but usually it's not a case of, we're sick of him, we're going to get rid of him for someone else. It's usually just like, okay, well, Barcelona have offered us 200 million pounds for this guy, and can't really say no to that.
Wow. There you go. That's life. Well, yeah, I forget what I was going to say. The rivalry stuff. It's always interesting to me. And you were saying that if your team wins, you have a good week. If they lose, you have a bad week.
Less so now, but certainly like 5, maybe longer, like 10 years ago, that was definitely had a big impact on my mental.
How bad or how good of a week? Like, how big?
It's just like one of those little little things. It's
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to make any analogies because the ones that are coming to my head are bad. But
it's like if you do, it's like if you have drugs, it's a good week. If you don't have heroin, it's a bad week.
Yeah, it just sets it just sets a tone, and it it just has a little. It's not like it completely shapes the week or anything, but it's just like you go into a week with a spring in your step, or you're just like, oh well, that was a shitty weekend.
I feel like this is a lot of our banter has become Marshall learning about this all the things you do that are very enchanting to me. I learn about Yu-Gi-Oh, and I learn about sports, and I learn about this and that. I wanted to ask, do you engage in any what do you call it? Charms, good luck charms, things like that. Like, you have to.
Oh.
I know a lot of people who follow sports. They're very superstitious, right? They think every time my team plays, I have 3 hot dogs with mustard. And every time I've not done that, they've lost. And so I have to do that every game day. Do you have a thing like that? Like a ritual?
I don't have any superstitions. I have often had routines tied into football that I enjoy, but it's not for any purpose of increasing the chance of winning. It's just because that's just a part of the game day experience. So most of the time I'll plan around my big kind of treat meal of the week is watching the football and things like that. When we used to go to the Wales games as a group, we don't really do that anymore, but when we did, and we did that for a couple of years, we were going to every game. One of the rituals we had is we'd all put money into a pot and then try to predict who is going to be Wales's first goal scorer that day, and then whoever got it right got the money, or we'd roll it over to the next game if nobody did. And that was a really fun ritual I missed. And that would get you more attached to certain players as well, because I would always pick a certain guy. And yeah,
I think that's the kind of betting that I actually think is very, if not maybe not. I don't maybe it's healthy, but at the very least, it's not an unhealthy kind, because I feel like if you're betting with your friends, just fun little bets.
Yeah.
Your friends are going to keep you from going crazy, right? They're going to if all of a sudden you get on some crazy winning or losing streak and you're like, all right, $200 that my team wins. Your friends are going to be like, fuck no, we're not doing that with you.
You've got a problem. You need to stop. Yeah.
And if you're betting with a company, that is the goal. They're never going to cut you
Although,
off.
actually, this might be a difference, because I didn't know that the US had outlawed sports betting for a long time. We've had it here for so long that we do have quite extensive regulations now. Betting responsibly and, cutoffs and things like that. Now, I'm not saying they work, because 100% people still get into massive trouble around it. But at least that, there are some mechanisms of regulation there.
Yeah, here it's the Wild West. There's no regulation, and generally in the U.S., a problem has to become a very large problem for decades before any motivation to fix it rises up through the Congress. But I think, I mean, I'm sure what I think is probably going to happen is that there's going to be more state level regulation for a while. Like certain states are going to try to pin down the issue in their own, like California or New York, or certain states are going to try to tackle it before there's any federal legislation for some time. But it's like the craziest thing to me about it right now is like gambling is it can be for many people an extremely damaging addiction, similar to smoking. I would say probably more dangerous than smoking, because smoking's bad for your lungs, but like, I don't know, gambling's really bad for you. If you get addicted to gambling, it could ruin your life very quickly. Whereas smoking, generally, it takes a few decades to ruin your life, right? So it's like, I think that this is not me advocating for smoking, by the way. I'm not, but I'm just saying, like, it can be really damaging, is my point. And here there is absolutely very strict regulation on what kinds of advertisements you can use to advertise tobacco or tobacco-related products. And I think it's
those
like
regulations that they have to put things on the packaging of tobacco. Because that was one thing we had here.
In some states, I don't think everywhere, but I know what you're talking about where they have pictures of cancer and things like that.
Yeah. I think one of the I might be wrong on this, but I think one of the ones in the UK I always found very stark was that almost all cigarette packages for a few years, I'm pretty sure, had the word "smoking kills" on them. It's like, wow, how do you sell that product?
Yeah, that is hard. And ours do have like warnings like that will say, at some point they added to every cigarette a Surgeon General's warning, and it says, this product is bad for you, right? And in some territories, in some states, I do think they will straight up put pictures of like people who have,
cancerous
had
lungs,
cancer or things like this, or they've had their larynx taken out and they have the like little voice box thing. But I think, anyway, the point is, like, we have somewhat strict regulations on like how you can advertise tobacco. Now, that is being pushed and tested by the current era of like alternate nicotine products like vaping and these Zyn pouches that you suck on and things like that. But still, for the most part, there is a good deal of regulation as to how you can advertise these things. And there is none for gambling. Every advertisement for gambling I see is like, gambling's fucking awesome. It's like, a video will come on after you're watching like something, and it'll just be like, hey, why aren't you gambling, you fucking idiot? It's awesome.
It's free money.
It's super easy. You're a dummy if you're not doing it. I used to be poor like you until I started gambling with whatever, DraftKings or whatever it is. So like all their ads, and they have all these celebrities endorsements, like tons of celebrity, like big name celebrities on these ads. And they're like, yeah, playing, come on, come and gamble. And I'm trying to think, it feels like we're back in the 1960s where you have celebrities like smoking, Marlboros and going like, it's delicious and healthy, So it's just a weird era right now in the US. Yeah. There's absolutely no regulation for it, and my understanding is, I don't know, like a lot of, and the other problem is it ties in with people's addiction to their phones, because like if you have to get in the car and drive to a casino that's maybe 40 minutes away.
Or the classic British stereotype is going to town and going to what we call the bookies.
There you go.
Yeah.
But that's a barrier. Like, it is some kind of resistance. And sure, if you are really hooked, that's not going to be enough. But for a lot of people, that bit of resistance is going to be like, I kind of have an itch to bet, but I'd rather just get drunk.
Yeah.
Whatever. And not that that's also great, but you get my point. Whereas now, if it's on your phone and it's constantly beeping you notifications like bet, it's like there's no barrier to entry other than your money. And so that, I think, is also...
unfortunately, sometimes that's not... the problem is when that's no longer a barrier.
Yes. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, we'll spot you. Don't worry. we'll get, and they do that. They most of the ads I see are like, first time you play, we'll give you free money to gamble with. I'm always like, that is the most terrifying thing I've ever heard of. Can you imagine going into a casino in Las Vegas or New Vegas, and one of the like pit bosses comes up to you and says, "Sir, we'd like to give you free chips to play with." You'd be like, I'm cashing out already. This is this is worrying.
I would be like, I have 10 luck, so I'm gonna take this challenge. I think I could get away with it.
It's true. But yeah, that is like really worrying. The ways in which you could just pull up my phone and be like, yeah, okay, fine, $500 on this game I'm watching. I'm just gonna impulse do it right now.
I don't think we talked about this controversy at the time, but it's relevant to the topic, and I think you'll find it funny. At the last British election this July, there were a couple of conservatives who got into trouble because they bet on the election. They bet that they would lose the election.
And of course, they have their own internal numbers that probably told them they were likely going to lose.
Oh, I mean, that's another thing now that I'm thinking about it. That, again, we haven't really talked about much, but one of the interesting things over the last 10 years that was interesting to look at is you can bet on the WWE. And what was really interesting about that...
That's weird, that is fixed.
Yeah, what was interesting about that is that if you paid attention to bookies odds a couple of hours before the show went live, it would almost always tell you what the results of the show were going to be, because they would shift in a certain direction very, very shortly before the show began.
Because they got...
inside information. Yeah, must have been.
Wow.
Or somebody...
So if you just played the odds, you'd make money.
Sometimes, yeah, there were times where it didn't quite go to plan because I mean the reports are that Vince McMahon is a crazy man who changes his mind every fucking 5 minutes. So
that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay, that's interesting. For a second when you said that, I was shocked because WWE is not random. It is, well, I mean, if it has a madman at the helm, maybe it is truly random. But like for the most part, these things are planned out, scripted events. But then again, people also bet on TV shows. I've heard about this.
Really, I've not heard that one.
People bet on I mean, obviously the WWE is a TV show, but they'll bet on regular comedies or dramas, or like you could bet on like a Game of Thrones, or for example, I'm pretty sure that if you wanted to, you could bet on a certain character surviving or dying in House of the Dragon.
Well, right? That one maybe not, because there's source material, but maybe.
Oh, is there a book already? Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Well, then again, they went off source material but
they have in House of the Dragon as well, to be fair. So yeah.
Oh, there you go. But okay, so ignore cases where there's a book, but in shows where it's just being written by writers in a room, my understanding is there are often bets you can place on things happening in the show.
Now that you've mentioned it, I do seem to remember, and I don't remember whether it's the original Who Shot JR or whether it was the Simpsons parody Who Shot Mr. Burns, but one of those two I seem to remember had a big like betting thing going on about it, because I know for the Simpsons one, they did the first part before like a season break, and it's like a year before they found out, so loads of people were betting on that, I think.
Yeah, and then the Who Shot JR, that was a Dallas thing.
Yeah.
70s, 80s, I don't remember.
Yeah, a long time ago.
I wasn't. I was a babe at the time. By that I mean non-existent. But yeah, the idea that you can bet on a pre-scripted thing is kind of strange to me. Though in a way,
just love betting. I think that's
But also in a way, there might actually be more skill involved in something like that. Because
that's true. Well,
I think it might be. I mean, there's obviously some skill in predicting what team is going to win a game, but also I often am able to call events in a TV show before they happen, because sometimes writing is somewhat predictable.
It should be, in theory. I think there's an argument that some people will make that good writing is predictable. Good writing is, you can follow it.
Yeah, I think it depends.
I think it depends. I guess,
as well. Like I will say, there are bad surprises. There are there are a show can surprise you in a way that is bad, like where you're like, okay, I didn't think that was going to happen, but I'm not necessarily impressed that it surprised me because this decision was nonsensical. Like, or this plot line, it makes no sense. It's stupid. I hate this. So like, that's a bad surprise. Sometimes shows can surprise you in a way that is good, but I do think that's hard to surprise an audience and to do it in a way where they're like, oh, I didn't even realize that this was a possibility, but this all makes sense given the characters' motivations and all this sort of thing. That is really good writing. If you can't do that, it's much safer to just go with the predictable stuff, because you don't want to just go, well, I'm just going to have the character do something crazy,
Yeah.
But that it is.
I think on your point about skill in sports prediction, I think there's a ton of variance in sports. I think that's something people do not give credit for. If you've done something like fantasy football for long enough, and you really dive into the stats, you start to realize, okay, you can do as much as you want. At the end of the day, there is still just this massive variance in there, especially in a game like football, because it's low scoring, which means the swings are huge. Like a very common example is a very, very good team plays a very, very bad team, and the very, very good team gets 2 or 3 expected goals, which, if you don't know, I'm not going to explain the whole science behind that, but it's essentially like how good were the chances they created, so how likely were they to score, and then they just don't score any. And the other team has like 0.5 expected goals or less, and they've played terribly, but they just happened to score their 1 goal. And now the result is 1-0, but that's not a representation of what happened in the game at all. So yeah, sports has a massive amount of variance. But I do think there's some skill in macro things. What I will say is that the thing that is most popular in the UK is not the macro things. People don't bet on who's going to win. They do, but like that's a very uncommon betting structure. There's 2 types of betting that's really common. One is called an accumulator, where you bet on multiple results, like you bet on 5 different results and things like that. And then the other one is like very, very small things, like how many yellow cards are going to be in the game, how many corners are going to be in the game, how many fouls are going to be in the game, and that stuff is just, I mean, there is a science to it, but it's also so niche.
That's crazy, because surely, I'm sure the payout's great if you can guess how many yellow cards there's going to be, but I mean, that's, and now that we brought it up, that's another story, because that's one of the most popular things. So many players recently have gotten suspended or banned for intentionally getting yellow cards. So they would they have someone they know who's betting on it, or
they themselves,
like
through a proxy.
That is interesting.
I'm honestly shocked, because there's a guy in the Premier League right now who I don't know the full data, but I'm pretty sure he was like convicted. Like they did the investigation and he did intentionally get a yellow card for match fixing, and he got a suspension and he's playing again. And to me, in my mind, that's a lifetime ban. I don't think you should be allowed to come back to the sport if you've done that. So I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but I
think I'm with you.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's right. No, so I would say sports players shouldn't be able to bet on this. Honestly, probably shouldn't even be betting on the sport they're in at all. Like, I don't think they should be betting on other games.
In the English system, that is one. Football players are not allowed to bet on football.
I think that's a good rule. I think similarly, I don't think that Congress people should be able to invest in the stock market, because that is the big casino of our government. And if you're in the government, then you have inside knowledge on how the stock market is going to go, whether it's in the, obviously in the U.S., you have a ton of inside information, because the U.S. policy affects world markets in a way that like no country does. But I'm sure, I would probably have the same opinion in the UK that, if you're in government, you that should be your focus. Your focus should not be making money. I'm very suspicious of anyone that enters politics.
Yeah, this is part of the reason why I support well-paid politicians, right?
Yeah. Well, certainly. Yeah. I mean, it's the same reason I support, if I was in Rome, I'd want a well-paid legionary. You don't want them
tools of governance
taking things on the side. But yeah, that's Okay, one last thing before we get into our game, because I am really excited to get into this dungeon. The second part of the dungeon. My brother-in-law, who I was just saw over Thanksgiving break, my brother-in-law is really into pro wrestling.
Oh yeah,
WWE, all of it. In fact, he wrestles for fun with his friends, and
amazing.
Literally just had a shoulder surgery because he had to stop wrestling, and he wanted to get the shoulder surgery so he can keep wrestling with his friends. He's in his like mid-30s. I'm like, dude, you need to stop wrestling before you kill you. But whatever. Anyway,
hey, Chris Jericho is past 50 and he's still doing it on the big stage.
Oh well, there you go. So, but over the week, I think it was one night while most people were going to bed, he was watching the Vince McMahon documentary.
Oh yeah,
and I caught part of it, and now I want to watch the whole thing. The part I caught was, I think, towards the end, and wow, Vince McMahon is a comic book villain. Like he is comically evil from what I caught. Like
I think I'm past the point where it's that now, because I've if you do some of the reading into some of the court cases, it's beyond comic. It's vile.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh geez. Yeah. He just, I guess. Yeah. I didn't necessarily.
I know what you mean.
Intend to make light of it there.
He is.
I guess I just mean
ridiculous.
He's kind of a ridiculous buffoon type villain, but also at the same time, it sounds like he did horrific things. I mean, I sat there and caught just a bit about him using an employee as like a sex slave, essentially. Basically, what it sounded like.
Yeah, or I think trafficking is a defensible phrase here.
Sure.
Yeah,
whatever it was, he was passing around an employee as a perk for other employees at the company, or like sex with this woman. So I mean that alone, just catching that part, I was like, Jesus Christ, how is this man not in prison? Like that's
a very good question. Presumably because he's rich in the U.S. legal system, is partial to that.
No. That's life. Now, do you think the UK system would have gotten him by now? Do you think it's less open to such things? Oh, okay.
No, I don't think so.
Well, for a second, I had hope. I was like, oh wow, is the UK have a
very much depends. I think it very much depends, but I do think money plays a big part. I mean, I think it's just a natural consequence of the way our economy is set up in a lot of ways, and the way our political systems are set up. You would need like heavy reform and regulation to stop it, but I think unfortunate fact is that money plays a large part in a lot of things in life. So, yeah. Well,
a big problem here is that, like, right, you have a right to an attorney even if you can't afford one, but the public attorney. Public defenders here sometimes have, I heard, like in certain jurisdictions, like over 100 cases at a time.
Yeah.
And their average, the average time they have with a client amounts to minutes, like maybe less than 5 minutes at a time to talk over, okay, here's what's going on, and I think you should accept your plea deal because there's no way I have enough time to actually mount a defense for you. And that happens constantly. So, I mean, ignoring the other ways in which money can play a nefarious role in the judiciary, just the fact that certain people can afford a lawyer who can dedicate their time to you and other people can't is going to mean that poor people are going to be prosecuted much more harshly under the law because they just can't afford to defend themselves. It's messed up.
I think that and ability to pay bail are the two biggest factors here. Is access to legal representation and access to the ability to pay bail. I think those are the two big factors that make. There are obviously other factors, but I think the two big ones that are present almost across every Western democracy are those two: the ability to afford good legal representation, which is huge, and the ability to afford your freedom.
You know who could have used good legal representation were the orcs that I brutally murdered in this dungeon.
There's, I realize we've talked a lot. There is a lot of WoW stuff that's happened since we last talked, but we could maybe get right into the game.
No. Give me a WoW update.
Okay, because there's a lot because we haven't talked in a while.
What kind of WoW stuff?
Yeah, so we killed the last boss in retail, which was fun. I enjoyed that. That was a really good fight. Unfortunately, we did not get the Hall of Fame. We were one raid day too late to get the Hall of Fame, which was sad. But the boss is dead. I finished in Classic what's called the Scarab Lord quest line, which is considered one of the biggest grinds in the history of WoW. It was a 33 quest line that required a raid group multiple times to finish. It was quite the adventure, and now I have a bug that I ride around. Was it worth it? No. Have I ticked an item off of my bucket list? Yes. It's like a scarab.
Scarab beetle.
I guess that's true.
I'm just trying to imagine it. Yeah.
I'll send you a picture. I've got a
beautiful.
picture.
I know that.
It's gonna look something.
Did you have a sense of accomplishment after you finished it?
Yeah, I think so.
Like you won. You did it.
I've been enjoying riding around on this thing. Yeah.
On this mighty beast. Oh, okay, yeah, that looks like a scarab beetle. Although, yeah, wow, the fucking angles on that bitch. It looks like it's from a different dimension.
I mean, yeah, in the lore, I think it is.
Yeah. Oh man, it looks like a hound of Tindalos. Do you know
I don't know what that? No.
That's a Lovecraftian entity. They're like they come from the four, like they move through four dimensions, meaning that they look like shards of glass moving through space, and they can enter any room as long as there is a 90-degree angle in that room. So they can enter through the wall of any room in the world, as long as there's a 90-degree angle. But
so we need some igloos and
exactly.
domes.
If you're in a dome, they can't get in.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, but yeah.
And then the last thing on WoW is that we talked a little while ago about these fresh servers that were coming out. I think we talked before they came out about how I thought the timing was poor. I still think the timing is poor, but I have been playing for the first time. I think we've talked before about what hardcore WoW is.
Yeah, where you die and you never come back.
Yeah, that's it.
I guess you can play again, but
yeah. Well, I've never played it before until these fresh servers, and one of the nice things about these fresh servers is that if you start on the hardcore server and you die, you can transfer to the regular PvE server, player versus environment server.
That's
so I was
cool.
like, why not?
It's kind of like turning the difficulty down.
Yeah,
it's like you're like, I can't beat it at this level, so I'm gonna knock it down to regular.
Give it a go on hardcore. Like if you were planning on playing the PvE server and you wanted to try hardcore, then there's no downside to trying it out. And I have been really enjoying it. There's like a subset of hardcore called self-found, where you're not allowed to trade with other players, you're not allowed to buy things from other players and things like that. And that actually I've been enjoying a ton. It's changed the game in a lot of ways because you've kind of got to rely on yourself and your own professions, and there's a lot of things that you do in self-found that you wouldn't do normally, like going and grinding materials from very niche mobs. And it's like, oh, I'm actually seeing a side of the game I've never seen before. And the hardcore element is, it's exciting. If you die, that's it. And I've died once, but I am now.
That was it.
I went again. I played another character, and I'm up to level 40 now on that character, and I've just bought a mount. So
not dying once.
Yeah, not on that character.
Wow.
Yeah.
But on that, you made it to 40 though. How did you? I mean, are you playing very carefully? Like, you just very, very careful, or how are you doing it?
I was for a while. I was playing very carefully, and then I'm a mage, so I got to a certain level where I was like, oh, I want to AoE farm. So one of the things you do as mage in Classic is you pull a bunch of mobs and then you slow them with your frost spells, and you slowly just kill them. And it's really efficient because you can just slow like a massive pack of mobs and just slowly kill them. But it's really dangerous. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 10 levels. And pretty much every time I do one of those pulls, I get down to about 10% health, and then I kill the mobs. And I'm like, I'm playing with fire.
You are living on the edge.
Yeah. But now that I've got the mount at level 40, it should be a little bit easier to do. So I am playing carefully in the sense that like I'm using health potions and I'm playing slow and I'm getting gear and I'm trying to I'm not trying to do anything stupid, but I'm still, and me and my friends who are playing, we're doing elite quests and stuff. So we're playing not to die, but we're definitely doing risky shit. Like so we're playing inside of a group of 3, and when we were at level 20-25, we went to try and do an elite quest, and one of our friends unfortunately perished, and the other 2 managed to escape. And that guy's now on his 3rd character trying to catch up with us.
That's brutal. Yeah. Well, c'est la vie. I think so eventually you will get to raids, right? Are you going to try to do raids with these characters?
I don't see why not. I think my general philosophy is I might as well just keep playing until I die, and doing whatever. So I'd like to get to level 60. I'm still a long way away from that. I think roughly level 44 is the halfway point to 60 in WoW in Classic. So I'm still a very long way away from 60. And if I get to 60, I will consider myself to have won. And I'll be happy with that. That would be great.
That would probably make a pretty good Let's Play series. Playing WoW on hardcore mode.
For sure. There's so
similar to what is it? That New Vegas playthrough we both loved. What is it? You only live once.
Yeah. Well, there's when hardcore first launched on the official realms a year ago, there was a big streamer guild that got really popular, and they've just done it again now. And it's huge. There are loads of like mainstream non-WoW streamers that are now playing hardcore. So yeah, people really, really enjoy watching hardcore. It's probably like the most popular WoW content is hardcore WoW at the moment. It's certainly at the moment it's the most popular, but
it's because you're living on the edge. Everyone loves that.
That's it, yeah. And there's drama, Everyone, I think people like to watch other people die in hardcore WoW. I think that's the content around it, yeah.
Well, I also imagine you're gonna have more. I don't know, maybe the kinds of Let's Plays I've always loved. I don't watch so many of them anymore, but occasionally I will. And the kinds of Let's Plays I've always loved are the ones that take their time to build a kind of story or a narrative that is unique to that game. To that, like, I don't necessarily want to watch a Let's Play where someone just plays, I don't know, Uncharted, and they play it totally straight, and that's what they do, and then I'm just watching someone play a game, and you know what I mean? In the sense that it's like, okay, I could have watched anyone play this. Why am I watching you play? And I think I always loved it when it felt like, and obviously role-playing games are good for this, but lots of games are good for this. Like, Crusader Kings is a good game for this kind of thing, where someone makes you feel like you are watching a unique story play out, a unique narrative, a kind of meta-narrative that is you could only find with that person, with their character. And I think hardcore is the kind of thing maybe where it encourages more of that kind of like role playing, or that kind of slowing down and being like, I'm gonna have my guy go to the local tavern and drink, and this sort of thing, because it's like, well, I don't want to go right into another fight because I might die.
Absolutely, yeah, it definitely encourages you to slow down. There's a lot of role play in hardcore. I think also one of the things that I bring up almost every time there's a fresh launch is that vanilla WoW is such a fully fleshed out video game, and it's crazy that they managed to do it. Like it's so huge of a world, but like every corner of the world is like there's something there that's valuable. And I noticed across Season of Discovery, which came out last year and slowed things down a bit, and then this relaunch of hardcore, I'm doing self-found. I'm still discovering new things, and I'm like, oh, there's like an ecosystem and a way to do things it's so well fleshed out. And there's some missing links here and there. It's not a perfect game, but it's such a filled world that it's a blast to have an excuse to explore different parts closer, and I think that's another reason why people love hardcore.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, and they did it all in 2004.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, how long was it in development? Like probably a while.
I think it was in development for like at least 5 years. I think it was the late 90s when it started. Yeah.
Oh wow! And the original Warcraft. Was that it
was an RTS.
It was an RTS. Okay. So like StarCraft or
StarCraft, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Oh yes, it was like an RTS RPG, right? There's a campaign and a story and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, like StarCraft. I think it was very similar to StarCraft, but I can't really speak to that.
I'm terrible at RTSs. I don't think very well on the fly. That's one of the reasons I love the Paradox Grand Strategy games, because you can pause it and take a lot of time thinking out your options, and you don't have to rush everything. You can like be careful, whereas with an RTS you're like constantly like, fuck, where do I build it? Oh god, you send the men over there. Oh, I still need to build that. I need to put out this fire, and it's just it's a lot.
I think the only RTS that I've ever extensively played, I've tried a few but I bounced off of them, is Pikmin.
Oh, okay. Pikmin. I didn't even. I've not played that at all. I played quite a few. I played Empire Earth 2. That was a big one. I played Age of Empires.
I tried Age of Empires. Bounced off that.
And then I played, probably the most I played was Red Alert 2 and Red Alert 3, mainly because they're so memey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed RTSs, but I never got good at them to where I could like beat someone whenever I played with real people, they would wipe the floor with me because they were just so much better at multitasking and managing all of these different things at once. And I will say in that sort of theme, there's a game I've been playing that I got addicted to in the last few days.
Okay.
It's not an RTS, but it is real time. It's constantly, you can kind of pause it, but for the most part, time is always moving. And it is called Alien Dark Descent, or Aliens Dark Descent.
I've never heard of this game.
It came out.
Is it in the same franchise as Aliens Colonial Marines? No, it's Alien Colonial Marines, isn't it?
It is not in the same franchise. Well, it is. It depends what you mean by franchise. It is in that world. It is in the Alien Ridley Scott world.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's made by the same people that made that game.
I don't think those people are still making games.
Probably not. I don't know for sure. But yeah, I don't think it's that. But it's a squad based, top down sort of third person type game, similar to something like XCOM. Yeah, very similar to XCOM, but I think XCOM is turn based.
It is, yeah.
This is real time. The time is always moving, and at first when I was playing it, I found that quite annoying because, as I said, I'm not very good at multitasking or thinking quickly in these sorts of things, and I was getting murdered a lot. But after a while I realized that is a very effective way to structure a horror game, because it's a horror strategy game, which I've never played before. And it's really effective at scaring you because you have to constantly keep moving, constantly keep your squad like in motion, hiding, things like that, or else you will die. And that is a lot of fun. So I've had a lot of fun with it. It's cool. The most annoying thing is that it's both a cool and an annoying part of the game. There is when an alien or anything that's moving, any enemy is within, I think it's like 60 meters of your position, they will show up on your map as a little white dot, and you can see where they are. You don't know what they are necessarily, but you know that it's probably bad. And you can see them moving, or if they're staying still, it shows them there. And it makes, when they're within this 60-meter range, it makes a beeping noise. And the beeping noise gets louder if they get closer to you. Beep, beep, beep. But of course, most of the game, there's things within 60 meters of you. So literally this beeping noise has been playing so much that when I was going to sleep last night, I started hearing the beeping noise. Like, I started phantom hearing it because it's been playing so much. And that is probably not great. They maybe should have made that noise a little less annoying, but
I don't know. I feel like I understand what you're saying though. I that's always the last year or so, I've started having more vivid dreams than I usually do, and I've noticed that a lot of times if I'm playing games a lot, that ends up bleeding in. So I know that I'm playing a game a lot when I wake up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I had a dream about that game. So the other day I had a dream about me dying in hardcore WoW. I was like, yep, okay, I'm playing that a lot.
But this was not. Let me clarify. I'm not dreaming about the beeping noise.
Oh, it's just in your head when you're trying to go to sleep.
It's a phantom noise. It's like it's just I've heard
it's constant.
It's constant. So there's a part of me that thinks it's there when it's not there. It's like I'm imagining it. I don't know if you've ever had that, but like it's almost like tinnitus, where it's like you hear something so much that you think it's there when it's not there. I'm not schizophrenic, I don't think. But it's, but I guess there's no way to know.
I mean, I again, whenever I'm listening to this, though, my instinct is, well, that feels like it's doing its job. You know, it's kind of, you know, it's stuck there. It's you're constantly, you're like, where's the enemy? Where's the enemy?
Yeah, where's the alien? Yeah. But it's an effective game, and it also the game is really cool because you can actually pretty effectively, especially once you like level up your characters. You can pretty effectively deal with an alien. Even a really tough alien you can deal with pretty well. The problem is every single time you kill an alien or fight one, it alerts the entire...
And just to be clear, in this game you're fighting extraterrestrial aliens, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
What like do you mean like illegal people from another country?
I know, with the incoming administration.
Current administration, you wondered what kind of game is this?
yeah.
You're fighting what are called xenomorphs, if you've ever seen them.
Right, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you can effectively deal with one or even a few, but the problem is every time you kill one, it alerts the hive that you're there. And it increases their level of aggression. So if you're not ever stealthy, if you just kill everything you come in contact with, after about 10 minutes, you will have swarms of aliens pouring out of the walls. And so it's a really good game at forcing you to be careful, because it quickly punishes you if you get too violent and too hubristic, this sort of thing. So anyway, I've been enjoying it. Now that I've told you about it, you will never play it, but I
on this occasion, it's not necessarily because of that. I don't like horror games, so I don't think I'd ever play it anyway.
Not a horror fan.
I very rarely play new games, so now that you've brought it up, it's triggered in my mind that I did play a new game. It's like a year or two old, a few weeks ago with a friend.
Well, this one was a year old, so
called Core Keeper. Have you heard that? Keeper? Yeah.
No.
Have you've played Terraria, right?
A little bit. I never got really into it, but I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Core Keeper's a lot like Terraria, but it's like how to describe it? It's like top down, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so you don't really have a vertical axis in that sense.
Oh yeah, I see. Well, okay, so it's like Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the gameplay is like it, but I'm looking at the graphics and it strongly resembles that kind of
the farming
top down.
Yep. It definitely takes inspiration from Stardew for sure. Yeah.
Probably it does involve a good deal of farming because you do farming in Terraria.
Yeah, there's some farming. We mean like agricultural farming, right? Rather than like mob farming.
Yeah, I mean literal agriculture.
Yeah. There is some agricultural farming in Core Keeper. It's kind of like a small part of the game, but it's a part of the game for sure.
So it's basically like a top-down Terraria, though? That's basically
it's idea. I'd call it a little bit more combat heavy. The combat mechanics are way better. The combat mechanics are great. It's very boss rushy as well. But I guess Terraria was also like that. It's a lot like Terraria. It's very, very similar to Terraria. Really, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay, well, I will keep it on my radar. It looks like a fun little game. I'm always looking for...
If you bounced off Terraria, I think if you weren't really into if you play Terraria honestly, and you weren't really into it, I don't know.
I mean, I didn't so much bounce off it. I don't know if I ever gave it a really good shot. Maybe I should be playing Terraria. I don't know, but
I mean, if you haven't played it in a while, they always have their last update every couple months.
Oh wow! Right? Really?
Yeah, there's been about 4 times over the last like 5 years where it's like, this time it's really the last update. And then I think there was a new team that started working on it. I think they passed it on.
And they said, we'll never stop updating.
Basically, I did another playthrough of Terraria like 2 years ago, and they're still adding shit. Yeah, that's crazy. Terraria is a crazy game because I played it when it came out, and I've basically played it every couple of years ever since. And I love that game.
If you create a game like that, like Minecraft or Terraria, where the graphics are so basic, and by basic I don't mean bad, obviously, but I just mean easy to run on your computer.
Yeah,
very extremely stylized, like even more stylized than Nintendo games are, right? Very very pixelated. Then there's no reason you can't that you won't have people interested in playing it forever. Right? And especially when those games, especially like Minecraft, appeals to people who are first getting into video games. Like, still to this day, I don't think this has changed. I'm pretty sure still young people, kids, when they first pick up games, they're playing Minecraft probably for the first time. And maybe in some cases something like Terraria for the first time, or maybe Terraria after Minecraft, right? Or whatever. But like these games act as kind of like compasses, pillars, or north stars, pillars for people who are first getting into the hobby. So there's no reason why you just if it's making you money, I don't know, keep developing it.
And with Terraria in particular, like, one, it's so cheap. It's been so cheap for so long. Like, it came out at like $10, I think, if I remember. And it's constantly on sale for like $5. And then also, one of the reasons, like, if you got really into Terraria at any point, I feel like it's so easy to come back, because like Minecraft doesn't have that same pull for me, because when you go into Minecraft, I feel like it's like you gotta have an idea, you gotta have like something you want to do. Like, it's very much a make your own fun game, whereas Terraria has elements of that, but there's also like a really clear progression path. So you could just be like, I kind of want to play Terraria, and then it's like 5 hours later, and you're like, oh shit, I've been playing for 5 hours, because like there's just the next thing you can do, and there's a very clear like, okay, now I get this, and now I get this, and now I fight this boss, and that unlocks this, and just one more boss before I go to bed. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you've heard this, but friends of mine were telling me, I'm not very into gaming news. Like, I'm very out of the loop. I always find out.
Same, mostly.
I pretty much only tune into the news about games that I'm already interested in.
I play 4 different versions of WoW. I don't really have the bandwidth.
You don't have time for anything else.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But some friends of mine told me that apparently Ubisoft is like insolvent right now.
Whoa.
Or like,
that's crazy.
Or like could be.
Okay,
very shortly.
Let me just recenter. Ubisoft is Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Creed and, I mean, a lot of games.
What are the big hitters? Remind me.
Assassin's Creed is, I don't know. That's the big one I can think of.
Yeah.
So the reason my understanding is that they're doing really poorly is that they, I am just looking up Ubisoft games just to.
Sure,
so
me too.
Because I said that and I'm like, what do they make? Here we go. List of Ubisoft games. Oh, they did make a lot of Alien games, apparently. Tom Clancy's, all the Tom Clancy games.
They made Zombie U 2.
Oh, interesting. Far Cry. The Far Cry series, I think, is
Far
Ubisoft.
Cry, okay. They were Call of Juarez, or at least they made one of the Call of Juarez games.
Anyway, so Watch Dogs. They've made a lot of games. Just Dance.
Trackmania.
Yeah. So it's a really big company.
It's huge,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So I don't actually know if this is happening, but apparently, like a year ago, a game that has been in development for a very long time called Skull and Bones came out, and it's like a pirate game.
Okay.
Where you have a ship and whatever, you sail the high seas. And it
I'm not going to go on a lot with this, but I feel like the pirate genre is one that like everybody wants like a definitive flagship game in that, and there's a couple that have like almost done it, but I feel like none have really hit that.
Yeah, so I agree. I think that they probably were looking for that kind of thing. Skull and Bones was a massive project, this kind of AAA, millions and millions of dollars, years of development, And right now on Steam, there are 200 people playing it.
Oh.
Now, the other gigantic game that they just made is called Star Wars Outlaw.
Right.
This is another AAA Star Wars game, years of development, and it just came out like 2 months ago.
August.
And there's only 1,000 people playing it on Steam right now. And my understanding is that...
Do you have these numbers to hand, or are you just remembering them from a conversation?
No, I'm just pulling them up on Steam.
Okay,
because
can
this
you
came
pull
up
up
in the
the most
conversation.
recent Assassin's Creed game? I'm curious for context.
What is the most recent Assassin's Creed game?
Valhalla was 4 years ago. The Mirage was last year.
So Valhalla
Mirage.
has 3,000 current players.
Okay. What about
And-
Mirage?
Mirage has 1,800, less than Valhalla, which is interesting. So basically, my understanding of what I was told by my friends, and I haven't really looked into this, is that they have had several games in the last few years that have been complete commercial failures, and that because the size of these games, they're like digging themselves in a deeper and deeper hole each time they have one of these failures, and the stakes for them needing another success become bigger. So I don't know. My understanding is Ubisoft is in trouble right now. I don't know if it's true, but I thought I would share it because it seemed like an interesting piece of news.
Disappointing that it feels, at least with the way that you've presented it, it feels like in some ways like striking out and creating unique projects. Like obviously a Star Wars licensed game isn't necessarily a unique project, but like a new IP in the Skull and Bones thing. I just had a brief look at it. The setting looks really cool and interesting. And the fact that that's a part of their failure when, you know, I don't like the idea that they're encouraged just to spin out Assassin's Creed 14 and 15 every year. But obviously, I'm not saying, it's the consumer's fault, because at the end of the day, it's still on you, even if you're making a fresh IP, to make sure the game is good. So yeah, I don't know, complicated topic.
No, I agree with you. I think that's. I mean, that bothers me in games. It really bothers me in movies and TV shows. In that we don't seem. I know you're not a huge movie person, but I'm a big movie person, and it's a terrible time to be a movie fan in this era.
That sucks.
Because like studios are terrified of making anything that's not original. That's not to say that original stuff isn't coming out. It still does. But it is it's a lot harder to find something that feels fresh, a lot riskier. Or at least there's a perceived risk that fresh new stuff is not going to make you money, which does not seem true because the fucking Barbie movie made more money than like any movie has ever made in history, and it was a completely new
It feels
concept.
like a risk reward thing, right? Like the most successful stuff's always going to be new stuff, but also most of the failures are going to be new stuff as well, right? It's a lot easier and safer to pump out Fast and the Furious 28, but that's maybe not going to be this massive hit sensation of the year because, you know, everybody knows what they're getting in for.
And if you want reliable 5% returns every quarter, then you want reliable IPs, something like Assassin's Creed or
and I guess I can't complain about stuff like this because the game I continue to play the most is 20 years old and they keep just re-releasing it. So, you know, there we go.
They just keep repackaging it for you.
Which is what we keep asking for. Every couple of years we're like, fresh when? When new fresh vanilla when?
I think I'm pretty good about this. I tend to play a lot of fresh games. I'll
give stuff a go if it's in my wheelhouse, yeah. I will say this, I don't think I'll ever play another MMO. I just don't see the point. I don't want to do that. Like there's no reason to.
I think one of my favorite games that has ever came out a couple years ago. And it was I actually don't know if we ever talked about it or if you played it. Have you played Pentiment?
No, I've never even heard of that game.
You haven't heard of it? Oh.
Pentiment?
Okay. Pentiment. So Obsidian made it.
Oh.
Josh Sawyer made it. and it
Oh,
is
okay. I have heard of this, but I've not played it.
so it's a medieval. It's I would call it a medieval mystery game with role playing elements. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a role playing game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I don't think it tries to be, but it does have role playing elements. You do get to have some choices on like building your character a little bit, and you have plenty of choices you can make throughout the story. So it has, I would say, some light role playing elements, but what it mostly is it is a narrative mystery game. And it is one of the most freshest, most interesting games I've played in a long time. And you can play the whole thing in like less than 20 hours because it's just
Okay.
it's it's you go through and you play it. And I would we memed the other day about how if I tell you about something you're not going to play it.
I'm going to, if it makes you feel better, I'm going to put it on my Steam wish list right now.
You should. It genuinely is worth
It's gonna be
trying out.
I tell you what, it will be in the backlog because I've got to play Disco Elysium. That's the next
also
thing.
in my backlog. I have that downloaded.
I own that game. Yeah, no, same. I own it now, and it was like after Pillars 2, I was like, this is the next one, but I haven't got around to it yet.
I've actually heard people compare Pentiment to Disco Elysium.
That's what I was thinking. Is like same sort of vibe. Yeah,
because Disco Elysium, it probably has more RPG elements, but I've also heard people say that Disco Elysium isn't really a full-blown role-playing game. It's more like a story game.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, it's very fresh. It's medieval. It's and it's a clear example of a passion project, which are the games I really like. Like if you listen to the interviews of Josh Sawyer, apparently Josh Sawyer, before he went into gaming, had a major in the history of the Holy Roman Empire.
Oh, cool.
And he has always wanted to make a video game set in
it.
The Holy Roman Empire. And this game is set in Bavaria in the Holy Roman Empire in the 1500s. And it's just so cool to see someone be able to make such a weird niche game. The kind of game that would never come out of a boardroom or like a focus group or something like that. But every part of it is just so dripping with weirdness and fun, and there's also a lot of good. There's some good humor in it. So anyway, the reason I brought that up is I do really think, just like in movies and TV, there are still great games that are very unique coming out. I think it's just people need to find them. There's also a lot of white noise now. There's so many games. So it's like,
yep,
you're someone who like has played a lot of Obsidian games and you hadn't even really heard of this, or it wasn't really on your radar.
Not really.
And that's because there's so much shit to pay attention to now. So it's kind of hard. It's easy to not even find the games that are worth playing or that are worth trying.
At a glance it seems interesting. I've got it on the wish list. I'm definitely going to give it a go if it goes on sale at some point and I finish Disco Elysium at some point. Speaking of Obsidian games, though, because I've just looked at my wish list and I was curious if you've played it, because I got a recommendation from one of my other friends that this was their favorite Obsidian game, and I've always been curious about it, but I've heard mixed things. Tyranny, have you ever played that?
Yeah, I bounced off it, and it's on my list of games to unbounce. So I don't know. I guess I don't know how you'll do with it. I think I bounced off it because I found the combat to not be as fun as I found the combat in the Pillars games. However, I think the thing that people really like about Tyranny, one, I think it's shorter. I think you can play it a lot more quickly than you can play the Pillars games. The Pillars games are like big classics, you know, CRPGs, whereas Tyranny, I think, is meant to be more of like a compact kind of thing. But also, I think the thing people really like about it is you can, before you even start the game, you make these major choices of how the world you're entering formed. So you get to kind of make world building decisions out of the gate. And then as you play the game, you get to see how those choices affected the world, and you get to interact with kind of the world you made, if that makes sense. And that is a unique kind of thing. It feels like the kind of thing that you might see in a TTRPG, right? And not as much in a video game. So I do think because of that, I want to bounce it. I want to try to get into it. But yeah, I did bounce off it once, and I haven't tried it since then.
Okay, well, speaking of bouncing off things and coming back to them, we've been trying to start this Dungeons and Dragons session for about an hour. So
it's tried, and every time we just get pulled back into constant debates about sports and betting and video games.
Look, if anybody's watched this show for the last few years, they'll know that this is a podcast with optional Dungeons and Dragons.
That's true. And the one thing we didn't talk about was Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's true. Well, I've finished my Edison decks. I've tested them. They are very fun. I am enjoying them. I wish I had more people to play them with.
If Admand was a Yu-Gi-Oh card, what card would he be?
A card? I think an Earth Machine for sure. Probably a 1 tribute monster, somewhere in the 24 to 2600 attack range, with a protection effect. Maybe if this card were to be destroyed by battle, you can banish a rock monster from your graveyard instead. Something like that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Hire me, Konami.
Yeah. All right. Very cool.
All right. Okay, so we've been off for a while, and we've just had an hour of chatter. So can you remind us all, myself, yourself, the audience, what's this campaign? Where did we leave off last time? What is going on?
I don't even know who I am.
Great.
So Admand here has started an expedition to reclaim the wealth of the fallen stronghold of Mithril Hall. But before he can do that, he is currently on a quest to prove himself to his benefactor, one...
Dagnall Silverbeard, I believe.
Silverbeard. Dagnall Silverbeard, who is a significant leader in the Gem Jewelers Guild, and he is a very rich, wealthy patron of things like these back in Mirabar. He has asked us to prove ourselves by raiding the wealth and treasure of this fortress of Kundrakar. Kundrakar was this dwarf fortress built by a dwarf called Durgadin the Vengeful. It was raided within the last 20 years, it seems like. And orcs took it over and have been seemingly running it ever since. Now, maybe it's been different groups of orcs over time, I don't know. But orcs have had it for the last decade or so. And we have busted in here. We were very effective at clearing out the top level of this dungeon. And literally, we were getting... Oh, and we lost someone. This is very sad.
Yeah, that's true.
We lost Dorian Whitman. No, wait, Dorian's alive.
Dorian's alive. Dorian would never die.
That's right. I got confused because Dorian went unconscious and was out for a while. We lost Kratz. Kratz is a hunter who lived in the vicinity of Mirabar and traded his wares there. He was a half orc, and he met Admand on many of Admand's expeditions in the surrounding area around Mirabar, and they became good friends. And eventually, Admand brought him on this expedition. Seeing his sort of skills is very valuable. Now, Kratz had I guess I'll just do a quick memorial to Kratz. He had been somewhat poor in his rolling for a long time in the campaign, and continuously was getting shown up by Dorian, a city slicker wizard with absolutely no wilderness survival skills, and yet Dorian just kept crushing these rolls to like forage and make fires and like I don't know, all these different things, baskets of berries every day he'd come back with, because he just kept rolling 20s constantly, or 19s, 18s, 17s. The boy could not roll under a 15, basically, is my memory. I kind of literally mean that. I think he maybe rolled poorly
Couple times.
1/6 of the time, 1/8 of the time. I don't know. Dorian had one of the best like streaks of good luck of any character I've ever seen. Whereas Kratz kept rolling very poorly, and I think felt very self-conscious that he wasn't proving himself to be the best ranger he could be, the best hunter he could be. However, my memory is that towards the end, as we reached the end here of Kundrakar, and inside Kundrakar, Kratz has actually been doing quite well. He's been rolling better. He's been proving himself. He's been showing why we brought him on this mission. And in many ways, his death, any of us could have died in that fight. Istria could have died. Admand could have died. The fact that Kratz died is unfortunately a bit of, I think, just one last bit of bad luck for him. Because it could have been any of us, or maybe it was just good luck for Admand. Hard to say, but
I think Kratz even rolled a 1 on that death save. I think that was what killed him. So
he did. Unfortunate, cursed by the gods, perhaps. It's hard to say, but Admand is gone. We will bury him once we have explored.
Admand is not gone. Admand is alive.
Oh fuck! Sorry, Kratz is gone. Man, my brain. Kratz is gone. We'll bury him. We were going to bury him today. And we were getting ready to leave the dungeon with what I thought was a pretty good haul in tow when we did one last sweep to make sure we didn't miss anything. And on that sweep, Admand found a secret passage that led into a whole nother chamber that we hadn't been in yet. And this is the chamber we found was a room that the shaman that lived in this fortress lived in. We then left this room, and we have just opened this passageway up that leads to this what appears to be a roughly hewn staircase that leads into the darkness. And then at the end of this chamber is another door that leads to something else. We don't even know what it is. And there's a bunch of dead dwarves, I assume? Dead dwarf skeletons in this room?
You're gonna have to get closer to they're dead. They're definitely bones and skeletons. They're scorched, but I think you're gonna have to get closer if you want to investigate their.
Don't like the scorchness of it.
Yeah,
that's a bad sign.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so are we in? Are we?
Yeah, let's get started.
That's a good
sure.
recap.
Yeah. I was going to describe the room to you again, but I think basically. Okay, sure. The ceiling soars 30 feet high in the center of this impressive chamber. The walls are carved with images of dwarves at their forges. 2 large stone doors exit to the north and to the south. Several old skeletons lie scattered, scorched near the northern door. And there's a gate of wrought iron in the western wall. In the center of the floor, a natural rift descends sharply. Dozens of stone steps lead down into the darkness, and you can hear the distant sound of running water and a curious buzzing from down below.
Yeah, I think that this is probably Admand is assuming that the forge might be beyond that door, because you did mention that like it was curious that we hadn't found a forge because Kundrakar and Durgadan was famous as a weaponsmith. As a maker of weaponry, and supposedly a lot of weapons were produced in this fortress, and so far we hadn't found a forge. Interesting that the forge was hidden behind a secret door. Presumably the dwarves built that secret door. I don't think the orcs did. Very curious that Durgadan would think to do that. What a paranoid old bastard. Anyway, so yeah, I think Admand is going to go in here and kind of wide mouth agape. Is going to start walking. I guess we should all follow the same path in case there's a trap.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because at this point...
No.
We should roll into initiative as we do at the start of all of our dungeon.
I say that. I'm actually totally ready for traps, because Admand is a dungeon delver.
That's true.
He's totally ready to be trapped. That, like, if you're dealing with a lot of traps, that feat is actually crazy OP. It's weird because I've never thought to take it before, because if you're not dealing with the the putty long rest. What I forget what you call it. Brutal gritty realism.
Gritty realism, yeah, gritty realism, and it's I don't call it that. That is what the optional feature in the Dungeon Master's Guide calls it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It is in the DM guide.
Yeah,
okay.
Mine's modified a little, but it is based off of the gritty realism.
So we'll call it P's gritty realism. PGR.
Putty's gritty realism resting. Yeah, GRR. Or PGGR if you want. Yeah.
PGGR.
PGRR.
Who killed JRPGR?
True.
Yeah. But Jar Jar.
Oh.
How'd you get here? So yeah, I think that because of that system, the Dungeon Delver feat just seems so much more useful. So much more OP.
And at this point as well, as you roll into initiative, the buzzing from below is slowly replaced with a curious squeak and then a loud screech, seemingly a chorus of multiple different entities screeching just underneath the sort of underhang of the staircase to your right. And then suddenly bursting out of the darkness are these small flying creatures that start to fly out of the staircase.
Oh shit. Okay, now wait.
Yep.
Before they fight me, are they carnivores?
I guess you're gonna have to find out.
If they are, I fed them. I should be their mom now.
Oh, okay.
I should be the big bird. I essentially regurgitated into their mouths. You know?
Okay, so now there's 8 of them. So I'm going to ask you because there are balance implications for it. But for ease, I'd like to roll 1 initiative for them all. Is that okay with you? I'm happy to roll all of them if you would rather.
Yeah, I'm probably fine with you doing all, or maybe if you're okay with it, splitting them into 2 squadrons.
I can do that. Yeah, I can do that.
Just so that in case they all go first, that could be really bad.
Yep. Here, we'll have a blue squadron and an unmarked squadron.
Sturges! I wondered if they were Sturges. Okay, yes. I have heard of these. I've never fought them myself.
So they sort of they erupt out of the staircase and they like almost sort of spiral, and then they notice you, and they're almost there. You can tell that they're about to like dive onto the 3 of you, but it is your turn first.
Admand is going to brutal. This could be bad.
Did you have your shield equipped? It's been a while. I don't remember. Up to you.
I mean, I don't remember either. I mean, I had just gotten out of a fight, but then I was searching the place. So I think it's possible that I wouldn't have had it while searching, but it's also possible that once I discover this chamber, I would have equipped it.
Would you like to roll? Would you like to 50-50 it?
Sure. Why not?
So 11 or higher, you've got it equipped.
Fuck. I actually lost.
You actually left it back in the room. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, not equipped.
It burst in flames this moment the Sturges arrived.
True. Actually, the Sturges just nabbed it and flew off with it.
Yeah, it's gone. Jesus. Admand is going to pull out a hand axe and throw at this guy.
Great.
And if you're okay with it, could I have? Well, I guess should I roll to see if I even had my weapon equipped?
Oh, yeah, sure. If you want, that's fine. Which weapon would you? It would probably not be the hand axe, though, right?
No, it would probably be. I'll say my longsword.
Yep. That's a no as well. That's the bottom 50 if we're going 50-50.
No.
Okay, so your hands are empty at the moment.
So I pull out a hand axe.
Yeah.
And I throw it at this.
Got it. It's kind of small creature. Yeah, it'll have to be a good old throw to hit it.
Do I have a clear shot though? Right?
You do though. Yeah. No disadvantage or cover.
Good.
Although as they're flying sort of in a circular pattern, sometimes one of the other Sturges comes in front of it, and so on and so forth. But mechanically, no, you got a clean shot, and that is a great shot, and it hits the small meaty creature square. And would you like to roll down? Yeah, you cleave the Sturge in half as the hand axe falls down onto the staircase below.
Oh shit! Does it roll all the way down, or does it stay there on the floor?
It's dark, so you can't really see it.
Okay. Well, would I hear it? Would I hear ting 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 ting?
You hear a little bit of ting ting tinging, but then it stops.
Okay. We'll have to get that later.
Okay. Is that the end of your turn?
That's the end of Admand's, yeah.
All right.
Oh, wait. And did we take a rest? Admand has his second wind and action surge back.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to use the action surge just yet, but that is good to know. Okay.
Cool. All right, blue team, having seen, they were kind of spiraling around here, and they saw one of their allies die, so they're going to fly in.
And just so I know, Dorian gets one spell back every rest, right? Every short rest?
It's on his character sheet. I don't remember the exact details, but if you have a look at his character sheet, there, it'll tell you.
Yes.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, and the Sturges come in. I'm going to show you.
They're everywhere.
I'm going to send you a larger picture of these creatures, so you got a better idea of what they look like. You can see they have a elongated, sort of strange, like snout mouth thing, and that is what they're going to use to try to.
Like a mosquito type thing.
Yeah.
I don't like the body at all.
Okay, I assume a 7 is going to miss you.
Will miss.
Next one attacks. Also misses.
Miss.
And the last one attacks. 15?
Just a miss. I have 16 AC without the shield.
All right. So they are ineffective at hitting you. And you don't have any melee weapons in your hands. How smart are Sturges, actually? Really fucking dumb. But what's their attack pattern? Do they usually do a fly in and fly out? I don't think so. Okay. Istria.
Yeah, well, because I imagine if they're just predators looking for a meal, presumably they just swarm their target until they've eaten them, right?
There's another thing that indicates that I don't think they fly out, but I'll save it for now.
They have a move called, if they miss once, they instantly kill their target on the second turn, as long as they don't move.
Okay, well now it's not a surprise.
Damn it! No, Admand, run! All right, Istria is going to. Istria's like. Well, I think we're all probably a bit shocked, but at the same time, well, there were weird noises. I should have expected this. I guess I didn't realize. I was imagining that the noise was coming from deep in.
It was.
But also.
It was.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But and I also was gonna say, I imagine the acoustics in a place where most of the walls are stone is going to be very confusing, right? Like you won't be able to quite tell where noises are coming from. I was telling you the other day, like, if you've ever been in an actual cave, the acoustics are bizarre. They're so different than what we're used to. Anyway, so I think Istria will pull out a hand crossbow and do a little pow kapow on pew 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 so how high up are these things? Like how much above Istria are they right now? Like this one that's technically the square next to her, but is it next to her?
I think on the vertical grid it's one square over and one square up, so I think mechanically she's being threatened.
Would be within range. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. That's perfectly good. Capital.
Indubitably.
All right. Indubitably. Let's see. Do I want... yeah, I think... I don't know exactly what I want to do here. I guess I guess Istria is just going to pull out her dagger, actually, and stab at this thing.
Yep. Again, it's quite a small creature. Can be a tricky one to hit, especially with them flocking and swarming. That is a hit.
4
And
piercing.
she slays the creature. It probably remains stuck upon her dagger upon death.
Okay, so these things are not too crazy. All right.
Yeah.
I would hope, because there's a lot of them. Okay, I think Istria will then move back.
Does she shake off or take off the creature from the dagger, or does she leave it on there?
She fucking eats it. No, I'm just she throws it. She throws it. Yeah, I imagine she
down
just
the
kind
stairs.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, down the stairs. Throw it on the corpse pile. That's building up down there. Okay, and then I think that's all. Like, I don't actually know what else I would have her do in this situation. I could have her run. I mean, could have her book it, but then Dorian gets swarmed. That's not ideal. Okay, that's her turn.
All right, it is Dorian's now.
I'm gonna have Dorian cast Magicka Missile, but he can do that within 5 feet of an enemy, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
There's no spell attack roll to be impacted. You're all good.
Sure, it would be impacted if it was ranged. Is that the idea?
If it was a ranged spell attack roll, yeah, it would be impacted.
Okay.
A melee spell attack roll would be fine though.
Well, in this case, there's no roll. I just
nope.
Succeed because I'm so cool. So okay, let me push the button.
Well, declare your targets first.
Oh no! Don't push it.
Don't push it.
I'm gonna actually, I think, spread out in this case and just target all 3 with 1 missile each.
Okay.
The ones next to him.
Are we going first missile, second missile, third missile?
That's fine. Yeah.
Cool. And we'll do it left to right on the roll for what's first, second, and third. So 2 damage. Don't be 3 damage, 2 damage, and 2 damage, right? Am I right? Yes, correct.
Yep.
Okay, so 3 damage, 2 damage, and 2 damage. Dorian finger guns out 3 arcane projectiles that slam into these swarming monstrosities, and one by one by one, they all perish and fall.
Oh, I thought that they had 4 HP and none of them were going to die from that. That would have been so sad. Okay, awesome. I'm glad I spread it out then. Hey, they have like 1 HP? Holy crap. These things are delicate. Okay, that is Dorian's turn then. I think he's pretty happy with that.
Great. Okay, this whole group is dead now, so I'm going to remove them off the turn order. And it goes back to Admand.
Admand is going to attack the one to his... no, he would attack this one, because he wants to leave that one, in theory, open to Istria. So he'll attack the one directly to his north.
Cool. What weapon are you using? Because you need to pull one out.
Oh, he's going to pull out his longsword.
Great.
And slash. And I think I'll use the 2-handed version. I usually use the 1-handed, but I guess there's no reason not to.
Yep.
Not that I think there's any world in which it survives this attack. Here we go.
That does hit, and you do
9.
slash the creature in twain.
Okay, that's Admand's turn.
The Sturges are frenzied. The blood has been spilled. They dive onto Admand, hoping to take their fill. 22.
It's
all right. The Sturge kind of connects onto you, and you can feel like blood just raining out of the wound as you take 7 piercing damage. That's max damage from that attack. And the Sturge attaches itself to you, Admand.
Which one was this?
This was the one to your north.
Oh.
Not that. Yeah. Okay. The second Sturge attacks you. 16 just hits, right?
It does.
So you take another 4 piercing, and this other Sturge also attaches to you. They are now mechanically in your square.
Okay. What does that mean? Can my allies attack them without hitting me?
Yeah, but they have to be in, one of these squares, basically. Like is what I'm saying. So like they were previously in these squares, right? So
yeah, with a ranged attack, it doesn't matter though. With a ranged attack, they can shoot them from.
Yep, I
I
think
mean, that
so.
would be really dangerous, I guess, to shoot a crossbow bolt at.
Yeah. In reality, it would be, but I don't see any mechanical reason why it would affect the roll. So I think you're okay.
Just imagine History just starts pointing a crossbow at Admand. He's like, wait. Okay. Yeah, Istria is gonna shoot the one that's sort of like, well, I guess they're just all over him, so cover might not matter at this point. I guess. But so she's gonna shoot the one that it looks like it's on the south. And we'll see how that goes.
She's doing it with her hand crossbow. It doesn't really matter, but just in case it comes up, is she pulling out her hand crossbow in her second hand, or is she swapping?
I think she has a lantern, so I think she'd have to swap.
If she has a lantern, then that is correct. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Uh, 13 just misses.
Oh. Okay, Istria's like, I'm sorry, you're screwed, Admand. You're gonna die now. And that's Istria's turn. Wait, no.
Go ahead.
Sorry, wait. I am gonna wait. Oh fuck. Wait, do I want to do this? Yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have her move up and use helpful as a bonus action to aid with the next attack on that Sturge.
Cool. You gonna stay there or?
Well, I don't know. Can they attack? I'm actually thinking they can't opportunity attack if they're attached to Admand. And if anything, that would require them to detach from him, so that might actually be a good thing if they do that. I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna have her move away.
Yeah, it can't make an attack opportunity. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, she like smacks it or something. I don't know what she does, and marks. She draws a bullseye on its back for Dorian.
All right, and it's Dorian's turn.
Dorian is going to pull out his crossbow and fire at the Sturge.
Great. The one with advantage.
Yes. Eat hot lead, Sturge.
That hits. It's dead. Okay. Admand, you're gonna have disadvantage if you'd like to attack this Sturge.
Better than nothing, I suppose. Is there any other option? Can I remove it with my hand or something?
You can try.
Nah, I'll just attack. Even with disadvantage, I still have a good chance of hitting it. A decent chance, at least. Let's see.
Oh, easily. You shake the Sturge off, float it into the air, and skewer it through with the long sword, or slash it in half.
Either. Doesn't matter. Well, maybe it does.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. Technically, I guess I should declare the damage type in case certain enemies have resistances, right? But,
although I think mechanically you're only allowed to do slashing damage with a longsword.
Oh, it doesn't have versatile or whatever it is? It doesn't do
I don't think there is a property like that. The versatile property is one-handed or two-handed.
Oh, there's not a Oh, it is only slashing, really?
Yeah,
I
think mechanically. Yeah.
Okay. Nope. That's fair enough. Okay.
And yeah, there's a moment of probably hesitation, looking down into the darkness below, but no more Sturges emerge.
Admand will spend some time to get his blood back from them and then drinks it. No, I'm just kidding. That would be weird.
I'm going to quickly run to the restroom. I will not be long.
I might get water then while you're doing that.
Yeah, cool. See you in a bit.
Oh my gosh.
We came back at the same time.
Yeah, our timing was perfect.
Crazy. All right. Yeah. So the Sturges lie defeated, scattered across this room. There's probably some blood. Well, there's definitely some blood, but it's probably a mixture of the Sturges' blood and Admand's.
Yeah, I imagine with the ones that got him, it probably looks a bit like if you've ever killed like a mosquito after it's when it's biting you, it like has a little more blood than than normal.
Engorged. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I think Admand cleans off his blade and tries to wipe some of the blood off of himself, and I guess he will. He's gonna look down and maybe with Istria's help with the lantern, look and see if his axe is recoverable from where we are in this room.
Yeah, we did a roll for this, right? Was it a D4 at this point?
We didn't roll this time.
No.
We've done this in the past.
Yeah, what is the protocol that we've been following, if you remember?
Oh, Jesus. I think that it was that it was a D4 for regular axes and a D6 if I got the special axes. Was that it?
Yeah, we had little bumps, I think, of different axes.
Okay.
So yeah, you can see it there. You are gonna have to go down though, like a little beyond the overhang there. Like you'd have to go underneath. Yeah.
We'll get that when we eventually go down there.
Okay.
For now, I want to check out this room.
Yeah. So here to your left is you can see
Whoa!
it. This is the Grate of Iron that I had described previously, or Gate of Iron, I guess I should say.
Interesting. Okay. Does it look like it's openable or like it's just bars that are set into the ground?
That's a good question. Let me just have a double check. It is openable. There is a lock on it. It's not like a padlock. It's built into the gate. It's like an openable gate, and there's a little lock with a keyhole. However, you can clearly see that it's heavily rusted. The whole gate is, but the lock is heavily rusted.
Meaning that the lock might not work, but also perhaps meaning that it could be broken, smashed open, or something like that. Maybe. I think Admand's going to look at the skeletons also to see if they appear to be dwarves or orcs or something else entirely. I imagine the frame of a dwarf skeleton would look a lot different than the frame of an orc skeleton, even if they were pretty badly damaged.
Yes. They are clearly not dwarven. They are sort of regularly heighted humanoids. If you'd like to make a nature check. Yeah. Medicine check. You can try and identify these humanoids further.
Yeah, I believe. Let me check, but I think Dorian has something in medicine. Dorian. He doesn't. Does Istria? No.
Oh. I have a handout from the adventure of you being attacked by Sturges.
Oh. Let's see.
There you go.
Ooh. This is a cool handout.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, interesting. The art for Sturges here is a little different from the other art. Is this adventure from a different edition of the game, or is it from this edition?
It's from this edition, but it's originally not. It's a re sort of.
Oh, it's a remaster type thing.
Yeah. I think this art will be from 5th edition though. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. I like the art. Yeah. Okay. So. That could have been Istria if she had not she had not successfully avoided that. Okay, yeah, I guess none of us had medicine. I don't know why I thought one of us did. But I guess we can make just a raw roll. I'll have Dorian make a raw intelligence roll. Or no, wait, is medicine?
No, I think medicine's wisdom.
Well, then I'll still have him make it.
But
'cause he has good wisdom.
intelligence makes sense to me, so I'd be happy to make it an intelligence medicine check, which would, in this case, just be
Okay.
an intelligence check.
Not particularly.
They are within, so Dorian with a 9 would still be able to say they're within the normal experience of people in this area of the world. So they're probably humans, half orcs, orcs, half elves. Doesn't seem like these skeletons are unusual.
Normie.
Yeah. They're probably not like, some of the exotic races like tieflings and dragonborn and things like that.
I imagine none of their possessions are even remotely salvageable. Like they're all burnt to pieces.
There's no sign of their possessions, and they're just scorched skeletons.
They don't even have metal tools that are like scorched next to them. It's just all. Wow.
Yeah. Perhaps they were recovered.
I guess here's another question. When you say scorched, what? I mean, I don't know how much experience.
I should also describe the door now that you're so close to it, because the door is a bit strange in that it has a carving in the middle of it of a glowering dwarf's face.
Oh.
Yeah. And there are visible hinges on the door.
Okay. Are there scorch marks on the ground that maybe could show a pattern of where does it look like gouts of flame came out of this door and formed like a cone shape on the ground where these skeletons were burned? Or does it look like someone took dead bodies, covered them in like kerosene and burned them? Like, I guess, you know what I mean? Because
I do know
they would have different...
Yep. Give me a second. I definitely think there's a roll here, but I just want to double check something. Yeah, why don't you make me an investigation check?
I'll have Istria make it since she actually has a skill in it. Even though she's not particularly good in it, but I want to make it because she has the skill. Fuck.
There are scorch marks on the floor in this area, but Istria is unable to discern a noticeable pattern. Yeah.
Well, I still think Admand would be pretty concerned that if I just open that door, it's going to activate some sort of horrific fire trap, which is my assumption as to what happened to these poor fellows. Would Admand's experience with secrets or traps allow him? I actually need to check the feat. Let me look at the feat real quick to see if if it. I don't think, because I'm not sure if it actually helps him discover traps.
It doesn't. No.
Okay. Yes. He's alert to secret doors, and he's good at avoiding traps. I could just have him open it and tank it, and have the others leave the room. I guess but I still can search for people can search for traps, right? You don't need a rogue to search for traps, right?
Sure. Although you have made an investigation check already in this area.
Oh, and that would be it.
Although if there are other approaches, I would be willing to listen to them.
Well, I guess I would just want to have someone. Oh God, I'm worried about. Oh, fuck. Now I'm worried that it's like a pressure plate. I guess, like, from this distance, because I haven't activated the trap yet, can Admand see a hole on the mouth of that dwarf that's carved into the door? Like a spout or a hole or an opening where liquid fire could come out of.
Why don't you make me a perception check? No, you cannot see such a hole or anything of note on the door or around it. You just noticed the carving is quite high quality. It is stone. Yeah.
And it looks like I can see, I'm kind of playing with the lighting over here. I can see that this kind of goes back into there, but I can't see much further. In fact, I can't see further than that at all. That's strange.
Yeah, actually, I can describe this a little more to you. In fact, I think I can also change the technology a bit here. Yeah, there you go. You should, if you shine the light back over there, you should be able to see what's kind of going on.
Wait! The trash! The
Some
trash
boxes
pile
yeah.
that I thought about moving past. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, I know where we are now. Okay. Interesting. And it looks like that doesn't really go much further, although I wonder if that's like a secret or something. Okay. Okay. Admand is going to have Istria and Dorian get back.
Cool. Why don't you put them on the map where you want them to be?
Safely in the other room.
Okay.
Admand is going to get out his 10-foot pole.
Okay.
He is going to I don't know whether it'd be good to lean down, or I think he's going to lean down and he's going to try to tap the ground here.
Yep.
Nothing happens. Anything happen?
Nope.
He's going to tap the ground there because it's 10 foot, so he can do it at that range.
Nothing.
And
Nothing.
there and there.
Nope.
Okay, he puts away his 10-foot pole.
Okay.
He's going to approach the door.
I assume if it's 10 feet, it's got to be one. It's got to be like.
I believe that they screw together, so I believe that they're in 3
that makes
segments,
sense. Yeah.
2 or 3 segments, and you screw them together like pipe.
That makes sense.
I used to wonder that back in the day, and I used to imagine that it was a 10-foot wooden pole, but then I'm like, that makes no sense. How would you transport that? It would look ridiculous. But I think that's what it is. And that's why it cost, because another thing is I always wondered why it cost so much, because I used to imagine it was a wooden pole.
Yeah.
But it costs so much because I think it's metal and it screws, or it has some way of collapsing. Yeah. Anyway, but Admand is going to collapse it back down, put it away, and then he's going to get really close and see if there's any inscriptions on the door. But I'm guessing I would have seen those if there were.
Yeah. No.
And I think he's going to. He'll try knocking.
Nobody responds.
Okay, I'm a dwarf, he says to the door. So you have to like me. Dwarves are cool. Where, what part? So I guess describe the handle on this door to me. If it has, does it have a handle?
Yeah, it's like a little loop that you would pull open.
Is the pole? Yeah. Is it on the right or the left of the door?
The right.
Okay. I think what he's gonna. So I'm gonna have him stand here, and I'm guessing that means the door would swing, towards him if he was here.
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh wait, but that would also swing the mouth. Wait, I don't want to do that. Okay, he's gonna try his best to like open the door and shove it to his left, so that he's kind of away from the mouth in case the mouth shoots fire, and he's gonna try to open it.
Okay. Give me.
Oh, did it work?
Second. You do open the door, but there is something...
Fire.
Okay.
I'm a dwarf. It shouldn't kill me.
I'm a dwarf. Okay. As you open the door, you hear a and behind the door. And from the walls behind you and on the other side begins pumping this thick fire into the area.
Shit! No!
And I need you to make me a dexterity saving throw, please.
Okay. Does this count as a trap?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I have advantage on saving throws.
And resistance against the damage.
That's so good.
It's so good.
Okay, here we go. Because I'm bad at dex, so it's good I have advantage in this. 18!
Okay, that is a success. So you're going to take half of this, and then we'll half it again because of your resistance.
Literally, he's just a tank. He's a trap tank.
Okay, the damage is high, though, but that means you take 3 damage from this kind of eruption of fire around you, and eventually the fire kind of drops to the floor. It seems to be sort of a liquid substance that's lit on fire here. And then begins to burn on the floor, but the fire has stopped, like, pumping into the room. Now, you are on fire.
That's unfortunate.
I think we're going to say that ends your turn. I think that makes sense. You know, there's some preparation and care there. Do you want Istria to do anything?
Yeah, I'll have Istria come out.
She sees Admand on fire.
Okay, she moves that far. And I guess I'll have her move up another 10, 15. Is this area safe now?
No, there's still little bits of liquid burning on the floor. But, you know, if she's careful, she can move around it. Yeah. I wouldn't call it safe, though.
Tragically, that's as far as she can get.
Okay.
And she's like, "Oh, put yourself out, Admand." And then it's Dorian's turn. Oh, actually, Dorian's in complete darkness. He's like, "I can't see. I don't know how to get to the other end. I don't want to fall into the pit."
Yeah,
so he
that
stops
would be
there.
bad. Yep. Okay, at the start of your turn, Admand, you're going to take damage from the fire, which you will still have resistance to. I think this is trap damage. I think that's only fair. So you're going to take 2 points of fire damage.
Look at the difference. So I ended up taking a total of 5 damage so far. If I had not had that feat, I would have failed
17.
it because I rolled a 6.
Oh,
and
I
would have taken 17. I would have taken the full blown effect.
Damn.
That's a lot more. Okay, Admand is going to stop, drop, and roll. Can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a dexterity check, which I'm going to say you don't have advantage on. I don't think that comes into the purview of the feat. You're not really reacting to a trap here. You're just sort of dealing with a different sort of thing. Okay, you're too slow in the rolling. You know, you're too awkward getting on the floor. You're struggling to make much of a dent on the fire. Also, there's still that burning liquid on the floor, so you might have just accidentally like landed on some of it.
So Istria's going to move up, and can Istria pull out her canteen and just pour water on him?
Yeah, I don't see a reason why not. Sure.
Oh, she's going to do that.
I mean, still going to have a roll because that might not necessarily get all of the fire gone.
Sure, because it's like liquid fire, so it might.
That's also true. Yeah. So I'm going to say, but I think this is likely to work. So I'm going to say, have her make a roll, and as long as she rolls an 8, just a flat d20, 8 DC, hit beats it, beats it. So 8 or higher. All right. I mean, like you said, a lot of it, there's a sort of sticky liquid substance on Admand, and this water doesn't seem to have helped.
Dorian screams, "Come up, Dorian!" And that's Dorian's turn. Admand is going to take more fire damage, it sounds like.
Yep. 1 damage, though. You're good.
Oh, just 1?
Yep, because you still have resistance to this damage. Yep.
Okay. Okay, Admand's going to try to put himself out again.
Yep, another dex check.
Does he get any bonus from the water? Any bonus to this check?
I will lower the DC slightly.
Okay, cool.
That's still not a success, though.
Okay, Istria at this point is just going to start patting him out and try to pat out the fire.
I think I'm going to treat that as the help action, and I'll give you advantage on your next dex check.
Okay. Dorian keeps going, it's dark, it's dark!
The door has closed itself at this point, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, was it closing slowly this whole time?
It was, yeah.
Did you tell me that?
I didn't.
That doesn't seem very fair. I might have done something about that.
Would you like to have? I will let you take Istria's turn again.
Well, we wanted to get in here. I don't want to let it close. Yeah, I think I would rather have Istria stop it. I think. Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
If I can do that, yeah, I think I would.
Yeah. I forgot, so like it's completely reasonable to retcon that. That's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to keep it open. She's going to keep it. Wait, is this fucking room empty? God damn it. Is this just a fucking trap?
No, this room has a bunch of stuff laying around, some vats, some
okay.
pipes, and things like that, yeah.
I'm so upset about this. I'm going to cry.
Okay, so Istria blocks the door, doesn't give you any help, and you take 2 fire damage.
My eyes! All right. I'm gonna die.
You are still, in fact, on fire.
Okay, Istria is going to... Can she, now holding the door, pat him out?
It's a pretty heavy door. I think I'm gonna say no.
Can she kick him? She kick the fire out. Can she stomp on him?
Yeah, I guess so. Sure.
Okay, she's gonna kick the fire.
All right, that's gonna give him advantage on his next check. Dorian.
Dorian screams.
Admand, you're gonna take 1 more fire damage. Remember, this is structured turn, so if you want to use action surge or second wind, don't forget about them.
That's fair. Yeah, I probably will want to use that second wind. Yeah, sure. I'll have Admand use second wind at the very least.
Do you want to make your check first?
Yeah, I'll make the check first.
Maybe it'll affect your decision. You have advantage. Okay. You begin using the water, push some of this stuff off, pat it off. You have reduced the amount of on fire you are, but you are still on fire. You have successfully dealt with some of the flames, but you're not in the clear yet.
Also, I just realized I had 2 temporary HP.
Okay.
And that would have burned. So let me just increase my regular by 2.
By 2. Yeah. All good.
Okay. I think that was from the cook thief.
Billy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Admand. Okay, that's Admand's turn then. Istria is going to continue to try to kick the fire out. Just relentlessly kicking him. Dorian keeps screaming, "Help! Help! Shut up, Dorian!" Admand is gonna
take 1 fire damage. Yep.
This is misery. Admand's gonna. Can he make advantage again? Try to put it out.
Yeah, because Istria did help. Yep. That is successful. You managed to finally put out the fire, and at this exact moment, all of the other fire that was spread across the room has now extinguished. A calm descends upon the.
Let me see in here. And Admand goes into this room. What's in here?
Okay.
He is pissed.
The small room reveals the extent
hate Durgadon. I hate him.
of this trap's counterweight mechanism. So you can see that when the door is pulled open, a counterweight drops and plumps a flammable substance resembling, never mind, I'm not going to say that, but a flammable substance is pumped through these pipes through to what seems to be the small spouts in the wall that Istria can now see, considering they just erupted. In this room are vats of liquid, and then there's also various sort of crates and jars of what appear to be ingredients.
What kinds of ingredients? Like useful things?
Why don't you make a nature check? Okay, you are familiar with some of these things, and you think that this room, that the ingredients here are generally the ones you would use to make a substance known as alchemist's fire, which you now sort of recognize was probably the substance that was pumped onto you.
So these vats of liquid, is it just a lot of alchemist fire? Like, could I recover this? That seems like it would sell for a lot of money.
You know for a fact that it's a very unstable substance, so you need to be careful. You'd probably need tools. Probably you would need alchemist supplies, and you would probably want proficiency in it to sort of safely harvest and transport this stuff.
Is there a way to disconnect the counterweight now that I'm in here in such a way that it will not do that?
Yeah, you can just try ripping it off if you want to make an athletics check.
Do I think that ripping it off would reactivate the fire?
No.
Okay, yeah. Admand's going to try to just disconnect it so that it doesn't do that again.
Yep. You also, I think it's fair to say, I think you would notice that lots of these stores have been depleted, and you wonder if there's
very few days someone probably opens this door and is burned to death.
There's not many uses left. The vats are running quite low, but nevertheless, you successfully disabled the trap anyway.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think alchemist fire sells for a decent clip of gold, so even a few uses would be worth stealing if we can somehow. I think we'll leave it for now.
Now that you've identified it as well, I believe you picked up some alchemist's fire a few sessions back. Yes, I see it
and
there.
I hadn't realized it. Okay.
Yeah. There's an item in your inventory called flask with water-like liquid. Wait, no, that's not right. 3 flasks with strange orange fluid. There you go. Those are alchemist's fire, so you can label those appropriately at this point.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm going to look into eventually like taking this stuff, and I don't know. For now I'm not going to do it, but that might be something that we can work on. Is there a way I disconnected the counterweight, so I'm not so worried. But also, can I use one of the crates just to hold the door open?
Because the counterweight's gone, the door just opens. There's the counterweight pulling the door
just
closed.
Stays open.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Son of a bitch. This whole thing is evil. I hate this. I hate this. The mind of the man.
Are these sorts of things for you? Do you see it as evil? Do you think that this is barbaric, or do you think that this is clever defense of your home? How do you view these sorts of things?
I don't know. I know how Macaulay Culkin would think about this. I was recently rewatching Home Alone 2 because I normally watch Home Alone 1, and I watched Home Alone 2 because I haven't seen it in years, and which felt fitting because Trump is in it for like 6 seconds. My God, he is a vindictive son of a bitch in that movie.
Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah, the character.
Kevin McAllister.
Kevin McAllister. He doesn't even defend his home in that one. He lures them to a abandoned building.
Yeah.
And attempts to murder them. He doesn't attempt to defend himself. He attempts to murder them.
Horrifically, trying like this burning and stuff, right? Yeah.
He throws bricks at their skulls. He drops 100-pound bags of plaster on their chests. In one case, he has one of them crash into a car, and the dude caves in the ceiling of the car. Caves it in. Totals a car. And then, yes, in one case, I swear to God, he has a guy... He has I can't think of his name.
Marv? Marv is the smaller one. Yeah.
Or no, Harry.
Harry.
He has Harry, who's played by, I can't think of the actor's name. He's like this famous actor. He has Harry he lights Harry's head on fire, and Harry sticks his head into a toilet which is filled with gasoline or something. The toilet explodes. Literally explodes. It would kill anyone instantly because he put his head into a container that exploded. How these two... The only reason he did not murder them is because these two are not humans. They're like demigods.
They're cartoon characters.
Yeah. But, like, he attempted to violently torture and murder these two people. For what? For robbing a toy store.
You know, the director of that movie is the same one that worked on the Saw franchise. So I'm kidding. I don't know if that's true. It's probably not. I just made that up.
But it wouldn't. That would be funny because genuinely, like in the first one, he definitely does some questionable.
Yes.
But at the very least, he is, I guess, in line with the castle doctrine. He's defending his home. In the second one, he loses them.
He's like Batman.
It's so messed up. At one point, speaking of fire, they're climbing down a rope that he has soaked in kerosene, and he lights it on fire. It's just like the shit he thinks to do in that movie is horrific stuff. Anyway, I think Macaulay Culkin would love this. It's a classic. It's a classic McAllister trap. Whether Admand would, that's a great question. I think I don't know. What do we do stuff? I guess like did he grow up with this? Do we do stuff like this in Miramar? Are there like gasoline traps in Miramar or
no, absolutely not, because Miramar isn't a dwarf hole, you know, it's an integrated modern outward facing city. It's definitely not like this, although I think these sorts of things are present sort of in dwarvish lore. Now, I'm sort of up to you how barbaric and brutal they get in the lore. Maybe this is a step further than usual. Maybe it's more of a like a turn back, you know, sort of thing, rather than a, I'm going to burn you alive kill area. Although I feel like most dwarf holds, they would definitely be into stuff like this.
Yeah, it is an interesting trap. I don't like it because it should have some sort of way of determining that you're a dwarf, right? It should have some dwarven...
That's a reasonable position to hold, is that you're all okay with these sort of defense traps, but they well, I was about to say it's a reasonable position that they should only be for non-dwarves, but dwarves like fighting dwarves. You know, that's definitely happened a lot.
Nah. I'm a good guy here, okay? I think it should just sense if you're a good guy.
Okay. I mean, there are traps that do that. Dwarven priests will mention that there are alignment traps. If you are pure of heart, you know, you'd be fine.
I think it should just, if you're a dwarf, it should say, all right, come in. Come in, bro. The kettle's on, you know, take a seat. Put your feet up. I think, no, I don't know. I think Admand, there's probably part of him that if he was in a calmer state, he would probably think that this is ingenious. But also I'm trying to think of someone who has just been lit on fire by something, probably is upset and angry at it in this moment. Maybe at a later date, he'll, you know, when he's telling the story to others, he'll be able to laugh about it and be like, oh yeah, they were very smart. They built this thing that if you open a door, it would light you on fire. And then there was nothing in there. It was just to light people on fire. But I think in this moment, he's kind of like, he's like Harry and Marv in Home Alone. He's getting all fucking upset about it. And he's like, I'm going to kill Durgan. And if he's still around, I swear to God, I'll murder Durgan. Okay.
Okay, cool. I like it.
So Istria is going to finally point the light for Dorian. It's like, oh, thank God. You can see again. Oh, wow. You look rough, Admand. All right. Admand has probably had some of his beard hair singed off, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to oil my beard again. Damn it!" And I think at this point, Admand will, because we do not know what is down there. Admand is gonna drink the potion of greater healing. What does that do?
Greater healing? Let me find. If I had to guess, it's 4d4 plus 4, but I will check. Yep, I'm right. 4d4 plus 4.
Okay, he's doing a lot better after that.
Great.
And he's like, all right, that was funny. After he drinks the potion. That was funny. That's I remember there was the famed trap master of Mithril Hall, Kaveen McAllagor. This reminds me of one of his ingenious traps. And he used to tie paint cans to windows, and they'd swing down when you walked past a staircase. Oh God! He's now walking down a staircase. He's like, "Is a paint can gonna fly at me?"
Do you check for paint cans?
He will check for anything that can swing down at him. I guess, what do I see as I begin to walk down here, and as Istria begins to shine her light down here?
Yeah.
Does it look stable, or does it look rickety?
No, it's stable. You know, it's carved stone.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no... Yeah. No, it's okay.
I'm not like walking down rubble. It looks like it was built with a purpose.
For sure it was, yeah.
Okay.
For sure it was. Okay. I will describe to you, but I'm also going to move you.
He'll obviously grab his axe when he sees it as he's walking down.
That's not a problem. You still hear this buzzing, by the way, and the distant sound of water, for what it is worth.
So the buzzing wasn't the surges?
Gabagoo.
Joe Pesci. That's the name of the actor who played Harry. He's a famous actor. He was in a lot of mob movies.
Are you sure he wasn't? Anyway. Are you sure he didn't play Marv?
I thought he played Harry. Joe Pesci's the short one.
I thought the short one was Marv.
Oh, well, whoever the short one is he plays. I thought...
It doesn't really matter, but I am curious. He plays Harry. You were right.
Okay, there you go.
Cool.
I just watched the movie, so I haven't...
That's a good point. Yeah, I should have just believed you. All right. There's no initiative on this page, because Roll20 is great, but I don't think it's going to matter. So I will just start to describe what you see as you come down. The stairway twists and turns a long way downwards. The floor has been cut... Oh, wait, no, that's right. The floor has been cut into hundreds of shallow steps, but the walls and the ceiling are natural rock. And the rock glistens and sparkles with flecks of semi-precious stones. Millennia of sculpting and erosion have created sheets of fluid flowstone, delicate stalactites and majestic stalagmites. You hear water streaming deep within the cavern. As you descend, you see about 60 foot down a rushing stream, which you can just see there, splitting. It spills from a narrow crack to the south and crosses over the stairway before disappearing into a narrow, winding tunnel to the north. The rill is only 2 or 3 feet wide.
Rill?
Yeah, I don't know what that word means either. Maybe it's like the water crossing or something. I don't know.
How's it spelled?
R-I-L-L. Rill meaning a small stream.
Small brook. Yeah. Rivulet.
Ooh, I like rivulet. That's a nice word.
Well, I'm familiar with that word, so it must be connected or somehow. A streamlet is another word it could be. A small brook.
So
it's a particularly small stream of water, I guess.
Yeah. So you've descended deeper into the stone tooth. You are seeing a small stream ahead of you, a buzzing, still roaring to the north. And yeah, there are dozens, hundreds of semi-precious stones glittering and sparkling in this natural cavern. You have descended deeper into the stone tooth and perhaps are getting closer to Durgadin's hold and forge. I think that's probably... Oh, go ahead.
In theory, if I had a mining team, like, we could get to work down here.
This still appears to be a source of some potential wealth for sure. Okay. But that is wealth you're going to have to investigate next time, because I think we're going to leave it there for this week.
I enjoyed this session, but you think about what happened. We fought Sturges, and then most of the session was spent on fire.
Dealing with the trap. Yeah. I mean, you got through 2 encounters, a dungeon room. I feel like, overall, considering, we spent half of the time talking.
I would call that trap an encounter. Because normally a trap is like, it's over. That trap is like,
it's
burning.
You could if it had gotten on longer, you could have ended up using Second Wind on it, which is a huge resource. But you did end up using your water canister from Istria, which might be a resource, although you've just found a stream.
I also used a potion.
You did, yeah. So that's a huge resource.
Potion.
That's a huge resource.
Yeah. And I did that because I wanted, I'd rather save the Second Wind for a fight when I can usually, because it's harder to use the potion in the middle of a fight. You have to get it out. You have to do a whole thing. Whereas the Second Wind, I can do it as a bonus action at any moment. So I'd rather save that for a fight. And I assume there's going to be a fight down here. So, yeah.
I am going to only give XP to the 3 of you today. It was definitely a session where there's only 3 of you involved.
Why not Kratz's corpse?
You can split XP with Kratz's corpse if you'd like, but if not, all 3 of you can gain 500 XP.
Huge.
There is relevant. I always give characters who die in a session XP at the end of that session, and part of it's just a tradition. It's kind of irrelevant, but I have had
resurrect characters.
You can resurrect characters, and I've also had afterlife campaigns before, so it does happen from time to time.
I've not, but I've always offered it to players that have had a TPK. I always tell them, or as a sort of I don't know. I kind of say well, if this is really stinging you, this TPK, if you like, we can we can keep playing these characters in hell, or something like that. I'll say and you can fight your way out of hell or something like that. I've never had a party take me up on it. What have you had as your afterlife campaign?
I'm trying to think how it came together. I think, yeah, okay. So I think what had happened is we were in a inter-campaign, intersegnum. We were between campaigns, and I play quite an intense, gritty game. I think you recognize that. So I think we were at a point where it was maybe we want something a little bit lighter hearted, and there was some sort of storyline that made sense. So one character had died a few campaigns ago, and there was some goal that they could have achieved in the afterlife, and we decided a little bit lighter hearted, a little bit lighter on the rules. We're going to get together a few of our dead players from various campaigns, and we're going to explore various parts of the afterlife. It wasn't a great campaign. I don't think it ended up going so well, but I think it was an interesting idea. But yeah, didn't quite land.
Why didn't it go well?
I think I don't run lighthearted games very well. I think there wasn't a lot of grounding to it. I think that there wasn't a lot of grounding to it. Got a little wacky, basically.
Makes sense. I did once attempt to run a lighthearted game. I built a town, and what I did was I just created extremely detailed NPCs and filled the town with NPCs. And the campaign was just getting to know the people in town and doing little jobs for them. And then slowly over the course of the campaign, ratcheting up the difficulty and sending never making the stakes as high as something like this, where you're constantly in dungeons, but slowly threatening the town in such ways that they had to defend the people that they got to know. I think that's a cool way to do. Like,
I think so too.
A chill game is where you just need to make them care about something, because if you make the stakes nothing, then I don't know how to sustain a campaign like that. Because at the end of the day, this is it's a combat role playing game. So you got to have something. There are story based games, but this is not one of them. This is a combat role playing game.
I think there are a lot of groups that their dynamics are such that they can just show up and do some improv and have fun. And I think that's completely fine. But I don't think D&D, at least 5th edition, supports that very well. So essentially, you're kind of having fun in spite of the system. Because, like you said, there are lots of systems that would actually help, let you do that with some mechanical backing. But yeah, I think there are a lot of people that are like, if I'm playing a tabletop game, I'm just going to play D&D, and so they're not looking for like a story-based game. They're just going to show up and improv with their friends, and then sometimes they'll roll a skill check or something.
Yeah, I definitely agree that a lot of people do that. I think if it's not become clear, I love trying out new systems, and in particular, one thing I like is finding the right system for what a group
style
wants
of game
to do.
Yeah.
Because there really are. At this point, there is a system for every kind of game that you could want to play, and I definitely think that if people want to play something like a story-based game, there's a lot of options for that now. And yeah, I don't know. I find I think I agree. A lot of people though, they're like, well, I know the rules of D&D. I don't want to have to learn a new system. And at the end of the day, those groups, they're barely using the rules anyway, and they're fine with that.
And
they're
that's
like,
fine.
well, yeah. I struggle in those kinds of games. I have in the past when I've entered those kinds of games. I found quickly I was like, oh, this is not necessarily for me. Okay, I believe, succeeded at entering the XP, and yeah, we're good to go.
All right, are we good for next week?
I think so. Yeah, next week is December the 14th. Yeah, we're good for next week.
Oh, is next week December the 14th? Okay.
Isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. I just forgot.
So we're not good for next week. What do you have going on the 17th or the 14th? I mean,
it is my mother's birthday on the 14th.
Aw. Do you have plans?
I was thinking about we had a trip I was thinking about doing. I don't know whether we'll do it on the 14th though.
Well, just let me know.
Yeah, do you have another day that weekend at all, or no? Does it have to be the 14th?
I might
be able to do Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
Okay. Could you do Sunday? Let me just check the times on the football. On the football. See if there's a game on that Sunday that I don't care about. I don't care about any of these games. Great. Cool. Could we do today's time on Sunday next week?
Probably, yeah.
All right, cool. Sounds good. I will see you then. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you next Sunday. Peace out.